We got the Beverly Hills Country Club with Malcolm Jamal Warner performing spoken word poetry. Now, if you remember Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show, Malcolm and Eddie, Read Between the Lines, and a whole lot of other stuff, if you haven't seen his spoken word, it's probably time you have, because the boy be putting it down for the crown. I'm talking about something deep and prophetic. Yeah, him. The Oracle will be doing spoken word and jazz fusion. That's some song and spoken word, hip to the skip. In fact, she performed at the Black Family Reunion as well. Was also changed. We got 10-year-old comedian LaRoya Sanford. She was just on The View. She's all over the place. Everybody's trying to book her. She's going to be at the show bringing the comedy, as well as Heather Parker. She's an up-and-coming comedian, also known as Funky Sunshine. Well, there it is there. Just that name alone should tell you a little bit of something about what she's about to bring to the table. And yours truly be on the ones and twos, Stevie Mac. Sound like I'm going to be a DJ here on the ones and twos. I'm going to be on the wheels of steel. That sounds like a DJ too. I'm actually going to be on a microphone putting it down for the crowd. Maybe on a bullhorn or a megaphone, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be all over that joint on the red carpet, the green carpet, the gray carpet. It's for a worthy cause, though. This is to help the homeless over at the Fred Jordan Mission, who's been in operation since 1944. And that was before all of us was born. So you can imagine all the people that they've helped over the years. Well, we're going to continue that progression of helping folks. We like to help people who help themselves. You heard the term, God bless the child who's got his own.
Amen.
Well, that's what we trying to do. Uplift people who want to help other people. So help us help others by coming down and support this worthy cause. You can find more information about that and me, of course, at StevieMac.com. StevieMack.com. Need I say more?
Well, thank you, Stevie. That was just a fantastic little commercial there.
Man.
That was.
I didn't even take a breath, did I? Let's see. I need to breathe.
I'm speechless, kind of. How about you, Glenn? Are you speechless?
You know what's really a trip is because this is a video cam. It doesn't catch up with the real time. So your lips are probably still moving. People are just catching up with the end of the end of what you just said just right now, man.
That's funny.
Wow. Well, how much are the tickets?
Well, the tickets range in prices, and we have some specials going. Go to StevieMac.com, click on the flyer there, the link, it'll take you right there so that people can see the various ranges of tickets, see what you can afford, and go ahead and buy that table. Yeah.
All righty. And again, what charity does this benefit? How is it benefiting the community?
This charity benefits Fred Jordan Mission. In fact, Clarence Pencilman Pointer, who does work in chalk and lead, is going to be there with some. He's going to do a portrait of Malcolm Jamal Warner, auction that off, and he'll have a silent auction for some of his other works. We was just in talks with Congresswoman, now Ambassador Diane Watson, about coming down and supporting the event as well. Just the Fred Jordan Mission helps so many people, men, women, and children downtown Los Angeles, right there on Skid Row. I've been down there and helped them feed the homeless during Christmas and Thanksgiving, and providing food and medical needs to the people out there. So that's what this is.
Well, that's a wonderful organization. Well, I will be there because I had a crush on Theo from the Cosby Show. I'm just saying. I'm going to see Theo.
The whole Huxtables. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm going for the cause. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
I'm going for the cause.
We understood.
Yes. Well, thank you for that information, and we will see you on Saturday.
The 27th of
The
December.
27th, and I can't wait.
Of July, December. Where 27th of July.
The 27th of July, and we can't wait to have you back as an official guest on Manners and More with MILLENA, because we have a lot to talk about, Stevie. You have a show, and you have a talk show of your own, and you have so much going on, so I'd like to be able to take some time to share with the audience your complete and total brilliance that encompasses you.
It's a lot.
So thank you for being here with us today, and we'll be right back with the fabulous GLYNN Turman right after these messages. Manners and More with MILLENA returns. Welcome back to Manners and More with MILLENA. And I'm here in the studio with very special guest, Mr. GLYNN THURMAN, who yesterday was the Grand Marshal of the Bill Pickett 29th Annual Invitational Rodeo, of which I had the extreme honor and privilege to be the rodeo queen. Yay!
And you were beautiful. Oh, you represented us well.
Oh, thank you.
Riding out on your wonderful horse, waving to the crowd. Yeah.
It was wonderful. Oh, I had such a good time. Such a good time. So thank you for being here with us. We had a hectic weekend taking care of that. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
All right.
But first I want to share with my audience a little bit about you that I hadn't realized. That I know you are a native of New York City, but your ancestry, your maternal ancestry is from the Edo tribe of Nigeria.
Yes.
That's very, very interesting.
Well, you did your homework.
Yeah, well, you know, they teach us that at University of Virginia. And from what I understand is that you landed your first prominent acting role when you were 13 years old.
Correct.
As Travis Younger in Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun.
The original production. Yes.
Ooh, and you got to work with, okay, hold on to your hats, guys. You got to work with on the stage Sidney Poitier.
Yes.
Take a pause. Ruby Dee, Claudia McNeil, and Diana Sands.
And Lou Gossett Jr.
Oh, one of my absolute favorites. And he's going to be a guest on the show.
Oh,
very soon.
fantastic.
So
My big
excited.
brother, yeah.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I mean, you got to work with brilliance at 13.
That's how I started. That was my introduction to the business.
Wow.
Set the bar kind of high, didn't it?
Pretty much. Talk about no game playing, no. It's either this or not.
Highway.
Exactly. So, and then from there, you studied at Manhattan School of the Performing Arts. Mm-hmm. And then upon graduation, you apprenticed in regional and repertory companies across the country.
Yes.
And you performed in a number of acclaimed plays and the Los Angeles stage debut in Vinette Carroll's Slow Dance on the Killing Ground.
Right.
And your 1974 performance in The Wine Cellars earned you a Los Angeles Critics Award and a Dramalog Award. And your first NAACP Image Award was bestowed upon you for your work in Eyes of the American.
Ron Milner's play.
Yes,
Wonderful, one of my favorite playwright to this day.
Oh,
Ron Milner.
Ron Milner. He's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Well, so with all of that, very few children really have a clear and decisive idea of what their career goal is. But apparently you did at a very, very early age. I know personally, I went to school to be an international corporate attorney with a concentration on the Spanish-speaking countries. And here I am, an actress.
Right.
Complete,
See,
different.
Crazy, huh?
Crazy, just totally crazy. We just talked off camera how that happened. It
That's
kind of works together and it benefits.
It does,
but initially, I was doing law and now I'm an actress. You were 13 years old and you got an opportunity to do that. So how did you know at that point that's what you wanted to do?
Well, at that point, that's not what I wanted to do. It was just something to do. What I wanted to do was become an aviations engineer. That's what I wanted to do.
Aviations engineer.
An aviation engineer. But I took the test for the High School of Aviation, and I failed it. And I took the audition for the High School Performing Arts, and I passed it.
Oh, okay.
And so, well,
So it was decided for you.
Right, it was decided for me, right?
Well, I have a brief segue from my... What made you decide you wanted to do aviation?
Well, I don't know what got into my head for a young man who never went to enough math classes. I cut every math class that, all through junior high school. And that's what my teacher said. My guidance teacher, Mr. Wilson, said, when I told him I wanted to become a aviation engineer, he said, Thurman, haven't you cut all of your classes? Don't you play hooky and cut those classes all the time? Don't you need math to become an aviation engineer? I said, yeah. I said, but I'm going to do that anyway. He said, well, why don't you take the audition for the High School Performing Arts? He knew I had been in A Raisin in the Sun.
Oh.
And I said, I don't want to do that. It was just something I did once in my life. And he said, well, why don't you try it? And he said, it's a very difficult test to audition for performing arts because at that time they were accepting very few kids. It was a small school on 46th Street. Fame, the movie Fame.
Yes. Love it.
Okay, well, and I passed, and I got an A.
Wow.
And I said, whoa. Never got one of these before.
This is new.
This is
Wow,
new.
I like this.
Yeah. How did that happen? So, I made that declaration. Ma, guess what? I'm going to be an actor. She said, I've been trying to tell you. So
apparently you were acting all your life,
yeah,
acting up.
Right, acting up, cutting up.
Oh, so at that point, how old were you at that point? So you were about
high
17,
school,
18.
high school
17,
age,
18.
yeah.
So that was really the pivotal point in your, wow. Okay, and so, well, your film career began in 1970.
Did it?
It did.
Okay.
In blaxploitation films such as Five on the Backhand Side and Together Brothers. Now, the 1970s, some people would say, was a pivotal point in African American history. And as Jim Crow laws, legalized segregation, discriminations had begun to be removed from the books, resulting from the institutions of civil rights and affirmative action laws in response to civil rights movements of the 50s and the 60s, thus beginning of what became to be known as the era of blaxploitation. Now, how would you characterize the blaxploitation era in filmmaking as it relates to the realistic value of filmmaking in relationship to what it had been the black experience in America up to and the end of 1970s?
Didn't I just tell you I cut all my classes? Didn't I just? Huh? Wow, you're educated. You went to college and everything.
I did.
Graduated
I
with
studied law.
honors and studied law and all of that. Yeah, that's where I heard that before when I was on the stand. One of those depositions. Yeah, gee, half. I know. Can we just get away with half? I just want to you're giving me flashbacks. I'm having migraine. I'm getting migraine. What did you ask me?
Okay, basically.
What? Who did?
Blaxploitation.
Black did what?
Blaxploitation. How do you feel about it?
It's over. It's over.
The film's blaxploitation. Being termed that, do you feel it was positive or negative? What kind of impact did it have? Oh, here I go again. Think this way. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. Miss Gay, I've got it. I'll take it from here.
Okay.
Okay, y'all. What she was asking me is what was it like doing Cooley High?
Right.
And what was it like doing Five on the Black Hand Side or JD's Revenge? What kind of impact did that have on the movie industry at the time? Superfly and all those flicks that y'all may have seen in retro.
Yes.
So my answer to her is, it was cool.
Thank you for that. Okay, moving on. Can you expound just a little bit?
Can I what? She
elaborate?
wants me to expound.
Yes.
We know what that means,
Yes.
don't we?
Yes. We've been listening.
She wants me to get a little deeper into it. Now, getting a little deeper into that. Seriously. It was a time when actually Hollywood was not doing very well with the movies that it was producing. White Hollywood was not doing very well. The lights bills were not being paid, and their film bills were not being paid, and their executive bills were not being paid, and Hollywood was in a decline. And what they realized as a result of a film by Melvin Van Peebles, who made a low-budget film of his own called Badass Song, Sweet Sweetback, Badass Song. He made it an independent film that they thought would never do anything. And they put it out kind of like a fluke. Yeah. Black guy, get out, hurry up, give me this, get on out of here. And it made millions. And that's when white Hollywood said, whoa, wait a minute, what is this all about? And started producing films with men and women of color. Now, the thing that differentiated these movies was that the heroes were not only black, but they had love affairs, they had love interests, they won the fights.
That's new.
They got the money, the girl, the glory, as opposed to just holding the coat or the jacket for the white guy who did all the tough stuff and rode off into the sunset with the beautiful woman. And that's what made it a different film. So they put those films out in bunches because these films, because they were so new and had that new ingredient of the black man getting over, so to speak, they made money and they kept the lights on. Of course, now once the lights and the bills were paid and caught up, it was kind of like, okay, guys, thanks a lot, and we got this, you know, back to business as usual. But as a result, during that time, there were several films that came through down the pike. Some of them had great merit and stood on their own, and I'm proud to have been a part of some of those films, Coolie High being my favorite and one of those.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, from what I understand, Hollywood takes the credit for making the first blaxploitation film, Shaft. They take the credit as that one. But I agree with you, where Mario's movie, Sweet
Sweetback, right, was
well,
really
you know, that's
first,
a bad word
yeah.
on Manners and More with MILLENA. That's a bad word.
Sweetback.
The title of it is a bad word.
Oh,
on the etiquette show. So we can say sweet bad hiney. We can say that.
you said, do I have to say that?
No.
Sweetback's Bad Hiney song.
Bad booty. Okay.
Exactly. There you go. Bad booty. But I agree with you with that. But Hollywood wants it to be Shaft.
I'll never. I have nothing against Shaft. That's my man Richard Roundtree and the wonderful Gordon Parks, and it was a wonderful, wonderful film.
Yes. I mean, you know, I as actors, we always enjoy the opportunity to work, and whether it comes from independent films or studio films and whatever they want to call it, giving actors an opportunity to perform their craft, the brilliance of the craft, is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Paying the bills works too. That's
Exactly.
good. That's a good thing. That's
Eating.
a good thing. Eating
Is a beautiful
things like
thing.
that. Those are good things.
Now, since that time, you've appeared in a number of films, television shows, the HBO series The Wire, which was set in Baltimore, Maryland, and we had a discussion about that.
Yes, we did.
And you portrayed the wonderful character of the mayor, Mayor Clarence Royce.
Mayor Royce,
And you
yes.
started as a recurring, and then you became a series regular, which is always a wonderful, joyous moment when they say, okay,
Truly wonderful.
it's time. We love that. You were actually absolutely brilliant in that role.
Thank you.
Thank you for representing Baltimore.
Thank you.
And the mayor, now, with that on the blanket surface, we'll say thank you. Now, for those who tragically missed some of it, well, the good part is that that role landed you a nomination for an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor.
It did.
Now, the character itself, again, we'll preface that with that's a great, great thing.
Yes.
But the character that you represented, his character, he was morally ambiguous. Yeah, morally he was kind of on both sides of the fence there. But being a politician, that sometimes, not all of them, but sometimes that is the way of the world, but he did appear quite real. And Tommy Carcetti, who's played by Aidan Gillen, who's now starring in the HBO series Game of Thrones. Good for him, good for him. He was the ambitious Baltimore City Councilman.
He was, yes.
Yes, and he wanted to unseat you.
He did.
But you used your backroom wheeling and dealing and scandalizing dealings to wage a political war in order to maintain your mayoral seat.
Well,
I mean, I know you didn't write it, but that's what you had to do.
I don't think it was anything morally scandalizing wrong with it. I was simply seeking another term. I had influence that I had acquired over the years with people who were obviously satisfied with my performance in that position.
Right.
And I continued to go to them and show them that I would, of course, be the man that would be best for the job.
Absolutely.
So what's wrong with that? I don't know.
Well, now, from what I recall, in one particular episode, Well, you asked me what's wrong with that, so I'm going to tell you. In one particular episode, your driver happened to walk in on you in your office, and you were in a compromising position.
A
compromising position with a female police officer, one of your office workers. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember that.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember that at all.
That's okay. That's okay. I remember.
You do?
He was your driver and your bodyguard.
Yes.
And he opened the door.
And
so, yeah, he caught you. So anyway, my question is, how
yes,
did
what is
you...
your question?
My question is, how do you build such true-to-life characters just from words on a piece of paper? Because there's so much, I mean, all of it says it, basically.
I did not have sex with that woman. Let's get this perfectly clear. Okay. I did not have sex with that woman.
I just said your compromising position. I just said compromising position. So you're the one that said that.
No, I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Law.
Yes. What?
How do you build that character from the written script to a larger-than-life character?
Well, it's simply a matter of professional training, I just want you to know that I did not have sex with that woman. Yes.
But you exhibited so much of the unsavory characteristics of real various political figures. How did you build all of that? Because you are such a kind and sweet person, naturally.
I am.
Yes. And so to be able to take all of those unsavory characteristics.
I saw nothing unsavory about Mayor Royce. I don't understand why people always say that. He did wonderful things for the city. He brought new life to the city. Business he brought to the city. There were a few things that may have not been, in the best interest of the city, but like any politician, one does his best with what he has to work with. I did not have sex with that woman.
Okay. All right. And with that, we're going to take a quick break because he did not have sex with that woman, as that's what he said. I'd never said that you did. I just said a compromising position, but that's okay. We'll discuss that off camera. You stay right there. We'll be right back with more Manners and More with MILLENA with special guest GLYNN THURMAN. we are back with more Manners and More with Mellena, with very special in-studio guest, the fabulous GLYNN Thurman. So, GLYNN.
Yes.
We ready for the next question?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, yes.
You know, it's funny that you say that because my family wanted me to be a judge.
Well,
They wanted me to be a judge.
they had the right idea.
I'm going to get to the bottom of things here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So now,
Yes.
your accomplishments on stage and in film and television have afforded you a number of awards, including a Primetime Emmy.
Yes.
Such a prestigious award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And that was for your role on In Treatment.
In Treatment,
the
right.
HBO series In Treatment.
Right.
Now, you're...
Played Blair Underwood's father on that show.
Yes.
The wonderful Blair Underwood. He's fantastic.
He is absolutely phenomenal. Just right there.
And a good man. That's what I like
person,
about him.
and a talented actor, and just an all-around great guy.
Mm-hmm.
All-around great guy. You know, great people hang out with great people. You're a great person. Stevie's a great person. Everybody, well, not everybody, but everybody today, and everybody watching are all great people.
Right.
Well, now your talent has caused you to be recognized by some of the biggest industry names in the business to cause you to be considered for major roles. So, for example, one little known fact, I just recently learned about it, and I'm going to share this with you, and you're going to be like, wow, oh my goodness. You were actually being considered to play Han Solo in Star Wars by George Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Isn't that something?
Well, I read that. I had to read that twice. I was like, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, but then the question is, well, why didn't you get it? But then, unfortunately, the sad reality. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I telling you news?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me what happened.
Well, what happened was, they cast Harrison Ford.
What?
I know
You mean
it.
to tell me Harrison Ford owes his career to me?
Exactly. Can you imagine that?
Yes, I can imagine that. I can imagine that.
He owes his entire career because I think that they miscast. Hey, Harrison. I think that they miscast and that you absolutely should have gotten the role.
Do you think so?
I really do.
Really?
They would have had such a different, really different flavor.
It would have been a different flavor.
It would have been a different flavor. But in the 1970s, as of the times, they weren't having it. I mean, right on the tail end of segregation and all of that stuff.
Well,
they weren't having it. From what I understand.
They weren't having what?
The interracial, because of the relationship with Han Solo and Princess Leia.
Okay.
That would have had to happen. They weren't ready for the interracial thing going on. That's from what I understand.
I see.
Is that what you understood?
I'll go with that.
Okay.
Actually, that's what George Lucas says in his book, Skywalker.
Okay.
And that's where this information is coming from. It was all news to me several years after the movie had been made. I wasn't aware that he had been considering me at all. And I got a phone call some years ago, and a friend of mine said, man, I didn't know that George Lucas was going to hire you to be Luke Skywalker. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, it's in his book. It's in his book. Read the book. And so I did, and he explains that he had been considering me for the role, but that because he knew there was going to be a love interest between the two characters, Skywalker and Princess Leia. Han Solo and Princess Leia. Yeah, that's it. Han Solo and Princess Leia. That he didn't want to get into those waters, at that time. And so he went with Harrison, who did a wonderful job.
He did. Harrison did do a wonderful job. I still think you would have done a better job. But
you're a shameless flatterer. That's what you are.
I think I would have been a great Princess Leia. But,
absolutely. Absolutely.
There it is. We're actors. We just always put ourselves in everything.
That's right.
Well, but what do you... So you really understood that the underlying... I mean, now that we think back on it, I mean, I get that it has to do with the race thing.
What race thing? In America? Oh, come on, stop it. I don't know why people always say there's some race thing.
I know. Who knew that?
There's...
The nerve. The nerve. These people starting a nasty rumor about race
thing. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
But I don't know. it pains me because in this industry, you want to believe that there's equality. And even in this day and age, and you're grinning because there really isn't. And I can only, from my point of view, I mean, I experience racism so much in this industry. Surprise, because I'm African American, but I'm too light to be really black, or to be too dark to be white, or so a lot of times I play Hispanic. And, you know, fortunately Spanish was one of my majors at University of Virginia, so I can hablar español muy bien, and I plop on a curly wig, and it works. But then it goes to, here I am crossing the race line too. I'm doing the exact same thing. And there does something here. So how does that, I'm sure you've had that experience, and how has it changed from the 70s and 80s to now?
Well, I guess now if Lucas wanted to hire Glenn Turman to play Han Solo, and there was a love interest between the Princess Leia, and she was Caucasian, I guess now, what was it, 40 years? Has it been 35, 40 years?
Yeah,
maybe that could probably work now. Audiences might buy it now. It's not that the audiences wouldn't buy it, they'd always buy it. It's that the producers would have enough courage
to do it.
And,
I think
that's what's happening now. And I think also what you see now, which is a good thing, is that you take movies, and I use Fast and Furious a lot as a good example of the progress, because the driving force characters of those films are people of color. And the main characters themselves, who interact with each other as partners in that fast-paced action, high-gloss Hollywood movie, are an abundance of all of the rainbows that we have in this great country. And so they're using people as they should be used, because that is indeed, though it's our moral weakness, it is our actual strength as a nation. And those pictures are becoming more and more coming more and more to the forefront. You know, I did one called Takers, not too long ago, and that ingredient was apparent. And the film did very, very well on all those many levels, And I think that that's what we're going to see more of, and especially with there being so many other outlets of making films now, just as there are what we have here in terms of doing your wonderful radio show that you have me a guest on. But because of this new media element, so many more chances can be taken. So many more people with broader ideas and more accepting ideas can voice their opinions and get their works done and seen. And so we're at the beginning, in my opinion, of a very, very brave new front in our industry, and which is coinciding beautifully with what is happening in America itself, with the new questions and resolutions, and trying to come to grips with this age-old cancer. And we do realize, I think the young people have the cure. They're at least interested in finding the cure, because for them the disease is only spreads if you feed it. Exactly. And the youngsters are not feeding this disease. It's those oldsters who are holding on to something that was never real in the first place.
Right. There's no reason for it. To judge someone by the color of their skin that they have nothing to control, have no control over, it to me is preposterous. And so many people, I'm just so glad that people are coming into an age of like letting it go. I mean, I'm 25 in my head. So
You look every bit of it. You'd never get an argument from me.
well, thank you very much. But I was not in that era but I still experience it on certain levels, and I'm one of those who is on a mission to eradicate as much as I can, using the platform of media as much as I can, and the platform of what I'm able to do to help gain an understanding, because I think a lot of it comes from just not knowing about other cultures and experiencing their differences and really seeing that people are really all the same, whether it's skin color or religion or, I mean, we're really just people. And just give each other a chance and treat each other with dignity and respect and basic proper etiquette. We'll all just get along just fine.
Absolutely.
And there it is. Okay, moving on.
Moving right on.
Now, have you experienced any that you can tell?
What?
And any? Okay.
I'm innocent. I wasn't there. What? What, Your Honor? What?
Okay, I won't ask that question. Okay, moving on. Okay.
Okay.
All right, now. It's okay. It's okay. You're okay now.
Okay.
Now, in 2012, we're coming to 2012.
Want my lawyer?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
It's me.
Oh, huh. Yes, good. All right.
In 2012, you began starring in the series House of Lies with
Yes.
Don Cheadle.
Yes. Yeah.
And Donis Leonard.
Yes, yeah. My
So
grandson.
precious.
Isn't he
I've
wonderful?
been going to his little birthday parties for like 4 years.
Is that right?
Yes, I know his grandma Aoife.
Oh, Aoife,
You know,
yes, yo, that's my girl. She's
Isn't she
fantastic.
fabulous?
Oh, she's fantastic.
Oh my goodness. Hey Aoife, she
Hey,
watches all the
Aoife, how you doing, darling?
time. So I know that is so exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
So now, it's such a fantastic character, and do you have anything, like, is there something that makes this character so special and different from any of the others?
Well, you know, he is smarter than I am. You know, my character Jeremiah. Oh yeah, he's much smarter than I am. Okay. You know, I have to read.
Oh no.
Yeah, to understand Jeremiah. Yeah, that's not a good thing, and I can only do that at night because you know I went to night school, so I can't read in the daytime.
Oh.
You know.
Because what's happening in the daytime? Sleeping?
It's just that I went to night school.
Oh, okay.
You can only read at night if you went to night school.
Okay.
Okay, let's move right along.
Right. Moving on.
Okay, here we go.
You also.
So at any rate, yes.
Okay.
So at any rate, that character is very smart, and I must do research to keep up with him, which is a great challenge, and it's something wonderful to do. I like for the music that he listens to, and so on and so forth. So I enjoy doing this character very much. At the same time, working, of course, with Don, who's fantastic, and a wonderful cast who are loony. They're all loony. Oh,
really?
Oh, bad. But we have a great time.
Oh, I'm waiting for that. Those are the best casts.
Yeah,
When everybody's a little bit nuts.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
Right.
When everybody is the same straight, it's like, this is
yeah,
terrible.
that's
You
right.
got a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Right.
It makes a great show.
So we've been picked up. We come back in September.
Congratulations.
Good to go. Yeah.
Yay, that's awesome. So you come back in September.
Right. We start in September.
Okay.
I don't know when it'll air, but we start filming in September.
Okay, and will you tell everyone again, it's on...
It's House of Lies on Showtime. And it's with Don Cheadle and the beautiful Kristen Bell and yours truly.
All right, fantastic. Well, you're also producing a one-man show.
Oh,
I
my
understand,
one-man show,
called
Moving Man.
Moving Man.
Moving Man. M-O-V-I-N. See, I told you I couldn't spell. M-O-V-I-N. Moving.
It's supposed to have a G.
Huh?
It's supposed to have a G at the end. Moving Man.
Moving?
Moving Man, yes. That is how it's pronounced. Moving Man.
How does moving? How does one moving? Man. You are so silly. You are so silly. But yeah, no, this is moving, man. And it's my a one-man show taken from an autobiography that I've yet to complete, but have been working on for several years. And what it's going to take for me to finish this thing, I have no idea, MILLENA, but it will happen eventually. But meanwhile, excerpts from the book have been compiled, and I've taken across the country over the past, maybe 6 years now, at various stages, my one-man show, Coming to a City Near You.
All right, Coming to a City. So what is it? It's about your life, but specifically which areas of your life?
Well, you touched on it from the opening of our segment together. It's not every young person who can say they started in a business and started in such a landmark production. Raising in the Sun, how many productions have been made since 1959? I mean, this is a play that will not go away.
Ever.
It goes on and on and on and on, generation after generation after generation, and that was 5 generations ago.
And now you have people like P. Diddy.
Yes, absolutely. Who I commended for commended and gave much props because he used his celebrity to keep this play in the forefront of young people's minds. And excuse me. So, telling the story of how one got into that production, just a kid from Harlem, and having met all of the wonderful people that I met at the time from being a part of that production, from Harry Belafonte and Sammy Davis Jr. and Pearl Bailey and Dorothy Dandridge and all of these wonderful people who are all, of course, icons. And, my show tells about that experience and what that was like from a kid's point of view up until coming to Hollywood and becoming a cowboy.
And a cowboy, yes. Now, I'd like to know how was that transition? What came to Hollywood and became a cowboy?
Well, just a love of horses all my life. I didn't realize what that was about. And it's a funny thing. You also introduced me, and you're the first to introducing my Nigerian connection. No one has done that before.
Oh.
Yes.
Landmark.
Yes. But what that, of course, was because of this new DNA swabbing thing. They can trace your roots, they can trace your bloodlines back to wherever you come from. And I had mine traced, and it traced me back to Nigeria. And that bloodline thing is really very, very interesting. Blood memory, and I think that's what they call it, memory. What is it? What are those things?
Sense memory?
No, not a blood memory, but the DNA memory.
Okay.
The DNA memory. DNA imprints are really kind of fascinating, So that was traced to Nigeria, and I went back to Nigeria to see where it had come from, Benin in Nigeria. But that horse thing, I didn't know my grandfather. He's a man who was from Georgia, and worked on a farm in Georgia, owned a farm in Georgia. But I never grew up knowing him, not being very close with my father at a young age. And it wasn't until later in years, getting to know my father better, that I got to know who my grandfather was through him. And come to find out that my grandfather, of course, had horses and mules and worked the land and was a man of the land and the earth. And that when we had our family reunion some years ago, I met others on my father's side of the family who came out to my ranch here in California, and said, "Your granddaddy's small here all over again," you know. So that was all in the DNA.
Wow.
So when you ask me where did that cowboy thing or that horse and that all that comes from, it's in the DNA, you know.
Come by it
So
honestly.
that's come by it kind of honestly. Yeah. So I'm a city slicker, but I'm a country boy at heart.
Well, I mean, you have a ranch in Hollywood. Not many people.
Well, it's not in Hollywood. It's outside of Hollywood. Yeah, it's north of Hollywood, some 70.
So how long have you been, quote unquote, a cowboy? Would you consider yourself a cowboy?
All my life. Oh yeah, Roy Rogers and the Lone Ranger, the real Lone Ranger. Oops, I guess I shouldn't have said that. I don't know.
OG Lone.
Yeah, the OG Lone Ranger. Yeah, OG Lone Ranger. And, but, my era of, when we were kids, those were our heroes. Like you got the superheroes now, the Marvel Comics, with all the
Wonder Woman.
Wonder and all those guys and gals. But in my day, it was the cowboys, who were the heroes. And, of course, Lone Ranger and Gene Autry and Roy Rogers and all those guys. So that's how long I've been playing cowboy.
Well, you do a great job. You did a great job in Grand Marshal yesterday at the Bill Pickett, the 29th annual Invitational Rodeo.
Yeah,
Bill
that's right.
Pickett.
I've been with them for 27 of those 29 years.
Really? 27? Wow, it was wonderful. I mean, I went a few years ago. I've only been in Los Angeles for 8 years. And I went a few years ago, and I said, wow, this is amazing. And then when I got the call to be rodeo queen, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Right.
It is a fantastic,
It's a great time. It's a
goodness.
great family event.
And you have one now, the Taste of Soul Rodeo.
Yes, American Soul.
I'm sorry, the Taste of Soul. That's a whole nother event.
American Soul Rodeo, yeah.
Yes, and it benefits your foundation, Camp
Yes,
Giddy
Camp Giddy Up, Nine Winds Ranch Foundation, and we do our rodeo at the same venue,
Yes.
the City of Industry Equestrian Center, but in February, during Black
I
History Month.
enjoyed being a part of that as well. I didn't get a chance to ride the horse.
Well, you will this year.
Oh, maybe I volunteer to be rodeo queen.
You got it. You got it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, he said I can be it.
You
Okay.
got it. American Soul Rodeo. Yeah, you heard it right here.
You heard it right here first. I'm the rodeo queen. I'm going to promote it.
All right, good.
And you know what we were thinking the other day, my managers and I yesterday?
What's that?
I think a rodeo queen should have a sash and should have a tiara. That's what we were thinking. Yeah, we put thought into it. Just throw it out there.
You see?
Hey,
That's that legalese.
you give an inch and they want tiaras.
Give my end. They want tiaras.
A chariot.
For the rodeo, but I absolutely loved it. And what you do with your camp, can you please share? I know it's a 501c3, and you take inner city and at-risk youth, and you take them out and train them on horses.
Yeah, my wife and I started Camp Giddy Up 1992, and we did it at as a result of a promise made to Mrs. Coretta Scott King after the riots of '92.
Okay.
In the Rodney King uprising. And at a summit that she had convened, when asked what could some of the leaders of the community do, we volunteered that we would indeed start a camp for kids. Of course, my wife wasn't aware that I was going to say that at the table, and I caught a little bit of flack for that. But after that, I had to make that promise good to Mrs. King.
Right.
I mean,
You can't make promises to Mrs. King and just say, uh-oh.
No. And that was it? Well, 92 was that. I failed math, but that was a long time ago. And some 22 years later, 23 years later now, we're still doing it.
Wow. What you do is so commendable. It
Thank
is.
you.
It's beautiful. I can actually relate to that so well because I was a counselor for an equestrian therapy camp myself when I was 18.
Wow.
And so I was
We got to get you up to camp. Giddy up, girl.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. The keys were the same, except in Washington, D.C. So part of my response was I would actually go and get the kids, and then, or my little group, and I would carpool and pick them up. And one of them said, "Okay, duck down, you coming into my neighborhood?" I'm like, "It's 10 in the morning. What do you mean, duck down?" "I'm telling you to duck down and drive." So I had to literally drive like this to go get the kids, to take them out to Upper Marlboro. Like, "You're 6. This is what you have to go through." I am so glad to be able to do this. And they changed so much with swimming and the horses, and just teaching them that. And they gain a love for themselves as well as the animals. So
absolutely,
I understand tremendously.
You know the deal.
Such an important.
You know the deal.
I would love to be a part of that. If you ever need any help, you just let me know.
You're on.
Okay.
You see that?
All right.
There it is.
I'm on the hook for a couple of things here.
Yeah,
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Okay,
Well,
you heard it. You heard it.
Yeah. When I say something, it's there.
All right. Good.
It's there. Now we're going to talk about this one-man show that. No, I'm just teasing. You might need some extras in the background for Dan Thirsty Danders. I volunteer for that. No, just kidding. Just kidding. My producer's telling me to hurry up and get back to the paper. So that's what we're going to do. Now we've talked a lot about your acting career, and we only have a few minutes left. So. We've talked so much about your acting career, but you're also a director and a producer. And you got to direct several episodes of The Parenthood, Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Different World.
Different World. Oh, one of my favorite shows, The Different World. The Wayans Brothers, and you were the director of the stage director of Deadwood Dick at the Inner City Cultural Center. You received your second NAACP Image Award for directing. So when did you discover this aspect of your professional character, and how did you convince people to give you the chance?
You know, I was at the inner city. I was a teacher at the inner city for many years. You know, and inner city was a very, very well-renowned theatrical a theater and cultural center, and again, young people would come and learn how to not only learn how to perform in all of the disciplines, music, dance, and drama, but would also get a chance to participate in some of the plays that were produced and performed there. And that's where I started directing. And then I took that from directing stage and teaching to the screen. And when we were doing Different World, my dear friend Debbie Allen, who was the director and producer, allowed me to what we call shadow her. That's where you just follow a director and see how the show is run, see how it's put together, what shots are required, and so on and so forth. So I shadowed Debbie, and eventually they gave me a shot, and one led to another and another and another, so it turned out to be all right.
Apparently you do a pretty darn good job at
it. I enjoy it.
Now how is directing yourself? How do you feel about that?
I'm not good at that. I don't like directing myself.
Why not?
I don't have enough discipline to direct myself well. You know,
it's hard being the boss of you.
It's hard, yeah, because I'm a ham, so I need somebody to say enough of that, enough already. Man. I'm not going to stop myself. I'm not. So I don't like that.
Okay, we're going to take one final quick break. We'll be right back in a few seconds with the conclusion of Manners and More with Melina with special guest Glynn Turman.
All right.
Welcome back to Manners and More with Melina. It's special guest Glynn Turman. Glynn, we just have a few more minutes left. Can you please tell us about the African American cowboy experience and Deadwood Dick?
Well, you know, hey, get that cow, boy.
Okay, all right.
It was hard work.
I can imagine.
Very hard, dusty, dirty, long hours, little pay. I don't know if your viewers have ever tried to round up steers, which are cattle, male cattle in particular, so if it's a steer. But cows, steers, it's very difficult to herd them together and get them to go in one direction or another. And but somebody had to do it because we're a country that formed a great taste that we have to this day for beef, right? And so that's profit. Right. So that means somebody's got to get this work together so we can get this money.
Right.
You, boy, get that cow, boy.
Wow.
So the term cowboy. Yeah. So the West became heavily populated with black cowboys and Hispanic cowboys soon after after the Civil War. And they, two out of every three, and I'm not sure of the statistic, but more than half of the cowboys of the West were either black or Hispanic. And so some very famous ones came out as a result that came with that, Bill Pickett being one of them, Deadwood Dick, who got his name as a result of some what did he do in the town called Deadwood? He some crazy feat, and they named him after the town, they say. But these were and these were cowboys and women who actually were a part of our American West who never got their propers, and that's what the Bill Pickett Rodeo is all about, in making sure that he remains in the forefront of our memory.
As he should. And I want to thank you so much for that wonderful history lesson. And
right.
you'll absolutely have to come back for part 2 because
All
I'm
right.
screaming right now.
Okay.
Because time is up. But please, we'll definitely have you back on for
I
part 2.
look forward to it. Thank you.
Some more history lessons.
Thank you, Melina. You're wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Glynn, for being a guest here today. It was fantastic. And thank you as well, Stevie, for staying around and being a guest and for being quiet and all. I know that was hard for you. But thank you, Glynn. And how would people follow Camp Giddy Up?
You can go to the website,
Donation
make a donation. You can go to the website, the 9 Winds Ranch Foundation. That's the 9 Winds Ranch Foundation.
Okay. And do you do Twitter? Do you Facebook? No.
I've got all that stuff. Y'all can Facebook or Twitter me somewhere. Glynn Turman at something.
Glynn Turman at
Twitter. Yeah, what is it? Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter.
At Glynn Turman.
At Glynn Turman.
Okay,
yeah.
but apparently you don't use it, so that's a waste of time. So anyway, well, maybe we'll have you back on the social media show.
Yeah, just talking about that.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're very welcome.
All right.
And thank you all for tuning in to today's show of Manners and More with Melina. I'd like to say thank you to the wonderful engineer, Mark. I'd like to say thank you to the producer who's driving me bananas right now, Mr. Landon Lewis, and also executive producer, Mr. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
No, he knows what I'm saying. Anyway, take care. God bless. This is Melina Gay signing off and wishing you a wonderful and joyful week. And I'll see you back here, same time, same place next week for another very special edition of Manners and More with Melina. And thank you to all of our sponsors, Tamara, Sugar and Spike, Donna Andrews with her paintings, and especially you. Mwah. Love you so much.